Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PatFacts. Patrick here, Pattern Mac, Personal Fitness. Talking tonight about our mental health, our health between the ears. So I had to wear my Mind Right Maniac shirt for the occasion, courtesy of Todd Durkin. Thanks, Todd, for that. But November is Men's Mental Health Month. But tonight we're just going to talk about mental health for everybody because it is such an important topic. So we're going to talk about ways you can help sort of manage your mental health, maybe improve your mental health a little bit, strengthen your mental health, or again, at least manage, because some things are a little overbearing, a little overwhelming. We need to manage them at least. And if we can manage them, we're not necessarily going to, hey, Joseph, we're not going to necessarily fix or cure anything, but even if we can manage it, then hopefully that'll help us stay on our routines a little more consistently, which again will help us further manage our mental health along with our physical health and spiritual health and everything else. As always, everything's tied in together. It's not just one thing or the other. All the systems interact. All the systems are intertwined. So if we can fix our kind of coping or our management techniques for our mental health, that's going to help our physical health. That's going to help our spiritual health. It's going to help our relationships. So we're going to talk about a few of those ideas, and we're also going to talk about what I've noticed, and I'm sure others have too, is something that maybe feels like it's helping your mental health, but it actually is probably making it a little bit worse. Or those that maybe have some struggles with their mental health, it can maybe impact you in different ways. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. Hey, Nads, good evening. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Thanks for hopping on. Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram, all live here this evening. So tell your friends, share it out there, get them in here. Everyone that's tuning in, again, thanks for being here. Feel free to say hey in the comments. We'll give you a shout out. And speaking of in the comments, what I'd like you to do, those that are returning viewers to the show, back in October, right around Thanksgiving, we did a show about gratitude and giving thanks to go with Thanksgiving. Hey, Bonnie, welcome. Good to see you. And we kind of challenged ourselves. Well, I challenged you, but we all did it together. To keep a gratitude sort of journal or a gratitude practice for the past about a month. We're coming up on the 11th of November tomorrow. So it was right around that time that Thanksgiving hit. It was, I think, the week after that we kind of talked about it. So it's been just about a month. So what I'd like you to do, those that are tuning in, whether you're here live or on the replay, whichever platform you're viewing on, in the chats, in the comments, let me know how that went. What was your consistency? How did it feel? Did you notice anything by keeping a gratitude journal or starting maybe a gratitude practice, whatever that was for you? We discussed writing it down, kind of a 5-minute journal, putting things out there, and then working on being able to express that gratitude. Because putting it on paper is one form of that. It kind of gets those thoughts out and you get to kind of go through that emotion. But if we can maybe express it to people or even events and things that we were grateful for, if we can sort of put that energy out there, it creates that positivity pandemic that we talk so much about here. It helps us move forward with that and spread that positive energy to other people. And maybe you practicing gratitude, maybe it influences someone else to start practicing some gratitude. And as they practice more and more, then maybe more people practice gratitude. And again, that ripple effect happens with that positivity pandemic. You've seen other pandemics and how the ripple effect works. It's the same thing here. We want to have that positive energy, that positive emotion ripple out around your communities, around your neighborhoods, around the world. And we can all start in our own little pockets and have those ripples sort of cross over each other as we go. So again, in the comments, feel free to leave a little message. Let me know how it went. If you found any difficulties with trying to complete it every day, or where to put it, or what to do, any difficulties, successes, and how you felt by practicing. Even if you just practiced a little bit, did you notice how you felt when you took a few moments just to feel a little bit of gratitude during the day, and how did that affect the rest of your day, whether it was maybe at the end of the day winding down or in the morning before you started your day? So pop that in the chat for me. I'm going to come back to it a little later on, and we'll revisit them and share with each other, because as always, we want to make the team better, not just make the team. So I really encourage you to share your experiences with us. We'll pop those up later on the screen here, show the comments. So again, we can share with each other. And again, even if you're not here live on the recordings, please post, and I always come back in and read them, and I'll reply to what you post as well. So you can have that interaction, and we can share that feedback with each other, and others that are commenting on the post, they'll see that notification as well. And again, we can make that community that we have here stronger, and then each of your communities will become stronger because of that. So put that in the chat, and that takes us right into our topic for this evening, our mental health. So our first exercise or our technique to help improve or maintain or try to strengthen, if we can, our mental health is gratitude. Our pals Todd Durkin and Joseph Safadi, they and Candace, some other coaches I work with, they like to say attitude of gratitude. If you have an attitude of gratitude, you're in that positive mindset. I heard on a mental health stream one time, actually, that it's impossible physically to feel down and sad and even maybe depressed at the same time you're feeling grateful and practicing gratitude. So for some of us, just like we talked before, that 5 minutes, we talked about a 5-minute journal, just writing those things down. Sometimes that 5 minutes is a break for us from the negativity, from the heaviness, maybe the depression, the sadness, the anxiety that we have going on. That gratitude is that moment where you've heard me talk before, we're usually in that red zone. If you're in that red zone mentally, if you can bring yourself down even to the yellow zone, thinking green, yellow, red, sort of that's that kind of zone, even down to the yellow from the red is going to be beneficial for your body, for your mind. It gives us that little bit of a break to let things maybe recharge, recover a little bit, repair themselves. And then again, that can give us a bit more strength and fortitude and resilience if things kind of go back up into that red zone. Ideally, they don't, but if they do, again, that little break is good for our bodies and our minds. But the more we practice that, ideally, it'll bring us down to spend more time in the yellow than the red, and then hopefully more time in the green than the yellow and the red. Because ideally, again, it's a system, it's a ladder. We want to be at the base of the ladder, typically in that green zone, and then into yellow when there's a little something going on, and red when we're high alert. But for a lot of us, because there's so many things going on right now, there's so many notifications and things coming at us, so many responsibilities and to-dos and busy things that we need to do, to put a lot of strain on us and keep us in that red zone. And then if you have maybe some mental health concerns or issues or things you're dealing with, that can escalate that even more. And I saw a post the other day, I think Natty shared it, about some of the triggers of anxiety. And there was like body image and sickness and financial security and relationships. And there was like 10 or 15 different things. Some of those things we can control. So that's what I would recommend that we try to focus on. Because we say control the controllables. Anything we can have control over, we want to try to focus on those and really strengthen those areas. So that, again, the things we can't control don't have the effect on us. But if all these things are kind of triggers for our anxiety or different issues we have going on, then we want to be able to manage those as best we can and try to manage as best we can the impact it has on us. So gratitude is a good place to start. Practicing that gratitude is a great place for us to start. Again, it gets us in that positive mindset. It gives us that break from the negativity, from the heaviness. But hopefully, again, it'll help us come down out of that red zone and keep us in that green or yellow, different positions. So being in there, we're at a more optimal level. If you ever played sports or kind of studied even psychology, but athletes or even watching sports, you've probably heard there's an optimal level of performance. Athletes want to be stressed a little bit. If we're too calm, we don't react and respond appropriately to what's going on. If we're too excited or stimulated, then again, we don't respond properly. We make poor decisions. We want to be in that optimal performance zone with a little bit of kind of stress, anxiety, to go. You've probably heard stress is good stress. We need some stress in our lives. There's distress and eustress, which is a little less intense on us. But we do need some stress to keep us performing and keep us sort of alive and active and alert to what's going on. But we need those breaks from that. We need the managing skills to help us come down from those stressful situations, or to at least, again, stay in that optimal zone. If we're too stressed, then we're going to make poor decisions. Maybe we snap at people quickly. And again, gratitude is a way for us to stay in that optimal zone. So practice of gratitude, whether it's thinking, even just taking a few times to think, what are the 3 things I'm most grateful for today, right now? And there's no right or wrong answer. You just think of them and put them through as you run around the basement. You just put those things down, and that's in your mind. That clears your head. A few minutes of quiet time. Maybe if you're doing a bit of a meditation, or again, just listen to some music, relaxing, take a bit of time to do that. When I lead my unwind class online or yoga classes, I'll include that in our 5 minutes of a corpse pose to really give you that time to help you relax the body, but kind of control the mind. So I kind of look at corpse pose in the class as more of a way to engage the mind into that sense of gratitude, rather than clearing the mind for meditation. Now, I like meditation. I do meditation, but I find in classes with a large group of people, sometimes the mind work is a little more effective for them than the meditation, because we can't really control your environment so much. So we want to, hey, Glenn and Monica, she should be back in a sec. You'll see her go by again. We want to have just an exercise, build the skill. So I take people through a class where we build the skills of flexibility, mobility, a bit of strength as well, but then let's build the mental skill of practicing gratitude. So there's different ways you can do it. Again, just mentally, you can write it in your journal, grab your pen and paper and write it on there. Again, just think 3 things you're most grateful for. And I like to add in why. Why am I grateful for those things? What made those 3 things pop up? So I get a little deeper into that gratitude. And then I've tried to extend it more, like we mentioned, where we express the gratitude. How do I get the gratitude out? This is getting the gratitude out, putting it on paper. So again, it feels a little more authentic. It gets a little more effective. It works that muscle a little more because you're expressing it somehow. But how can we take that to another level where we express that to the things we're grateful for? If you're grateful for a person, someone in your life, show them that gratitude, express it, write them a letter, send them a text, call them, video chat them, think of them. Even just thinking of them, it's an expression of energy. If they're not with us anymore, or you can't get a hold of them, maybe you don't even know them. Maybe it was just someone you had an interaction with, but you're so grateful for how they were with you in that moment. Again, just get that energy out, express it a little bit, and it gets us more comfortable with it. So we want to be grateful for ourselves. We're more able to do so. And again, we want to express gratitude or even other emotions to people. It's a little easier to get it out there when you practice it, just like any other skill that we're trying to learn. So gratitude practice, either emotionally, just mentally, or on paper. And on paper takes us to our next point, which is journaling. So writing things down, again, it gets it out of our head onto paper. It's a form of expression. And if we express it more, studies have shown that we're more apt to kind of believe it. Train with LH, good evening. That weekend, good evening. We're more likely to kind of believe it, but then we see it. It's on paper. We get it out of our system. So again, it's a form of expression. So it feels a little more almost validated, I guess might be the word, because again, it's going out there. So it feels like you've shared it with someone. And then again, that helps fill your bucket up, even though maybe it's just on your paper. That's your gratitude version. Another way to journal is to just get things out of your head and onto paper. Maybe you had a really crummy day. Things didn't go right. You missed the bus and there was lines at the grocery store and whatever. You've had a really rough day. Taking out pen, paper, write it down here, gets it out of here. Or at least turns the volume down on it a little bit. There's some music fans here in the chat. It turns down the volume a bit so it's not blaring at you and being at the front of your brain. So then again, you can maybe think a little clearer, be a little more relaxed. Maybe it brings you down to the yellow zone because you're still agitated by it, but you're not in that red zone, high level kind of zone. And that's what we want, to come out of that zone when we can and just have it there when we need to go in it. I have clients too who have trouble sleeping at night, getting to bed, because our mind's spinning and racing. Again, I tell them, have a journal by your bed or a notepad and brain dump. Just put all that stuff on paper. It doesn't matter if it's in order, if it's neat and highlighted in the format of it. Just get it out of your mind, get it out of your brain. And when your brain knows that it's on paper, then it can relax a bit. It knows it doesn't have to think and remember it. It doesn't have to store it. And what are we going to do? In what order? Because it's on paper. When we wake up and look at it, we'll see it. So we can remind ourselves then what we want to do. And then we can format it and highlight it or do what we need to do with it. But then it helps us, again, settle down. It gets rid of that anxiousness. It helps us unwind a little bit. It helps us prep for the next day. Maybe you can make your to-do list there too as you brain dump. Typically, that's what we're doing at night. We're thinking of all the things we have to do the next day, or if there's something big we have to do, we're thinking of the steps. We get that out. And then we've talked about morning routines. When you get up in the morning, that's when maybe you spend some time planning your day, if you haven't already, in your nighttime routine. But some people wake up and, again, things start spinning. Or again, sometimes those bad days carry into the evening when maybe it's finally quiet because you're laying down and everyone else is asleep and that mind starts to go. Again, journal, whether it's getting the day out or getting tomorrow's day out on paper to get it off your mind and to clear your head a little bit as well. So gratitude practice and journaling are two great ways to help, again, kind of monitor that mental health and manage your mental health as we're going. Hopefully help you improve it a little bit as we build the muscle and build the skill, but at least to manage it so we're not kind of at the mercy of it all the time. And we don't want to get to those extreme levels if we're having mental issues or concerns where maybe we're looking at harming ourselves or others, or getting to really that dark place. We're always talking about light here. We want to stay in the light. So the more we can manage ourselves, at least manage, that's going to help us stay further away from that dangerous zone that we definitely don't want to be in. And then, just as we're talking about that, reminder, if you feel you're in that spot, in those dark places and aren't sure of things, reach out to someone. Reach out to a coach, reach out to a friend, reach out to a neighbor, a family member, or call. There's helplines, crisis helplines, suicide prevention hotlines. There's a lot out there, a lot of resources out there. Even kind of your telehealth, things like that. You can talk to people there as well, but reach out. And as some of you in the chat will know from other videos we've been on and talks about this, hey, Chris, even reach out to people and make sure they're okay. Because even your strong friends may be going through a lot and may need that support and that check-in. And that's another way we can manage our mental health, is by checking in, by strengthening connections with people around us. So we know that we've talked before. If you go back, I was watching old PatFacts the other day because I'm putting them all on YouTube to make kind of a library of them. I was watching one where we talked about how the term social distancing was not appropriate. It shouldn't have been social distancing. Physical distancing, yes, or 6 feet and that sort of things. But we didn't need to social distance. We needed to socially connect and engage, especially since we were kind of limited to who we could be around and where we could go and who we could see. Luckily, we have the technologies that we do now that we can interact and talk to people and engage from a distance, from around the world if we need to and choose to. So connecting, checking in with people is another way to manage our mental health. Whether you're checking in on someone to make sure they're okay, they're checking in on you, or just someone you get together with and have a talk with. A couple months ago, I had a video, kind of a Zoom chat with 3 other people I went to university with. We were doing kind of every 4 or 5 months, we're going to get together and just chat, catch up. How are things? A couple of us live in Ontario, a couple of us live in Nova Scotia. So we're all over the place, but we were able to connect and sit and talk together and catch up and reminisce. And it was nice just to connect with those people again and think of our time. So there's so many ways you can do that now. Find ways that work for you and your friends and deepen that connection. Now, I'm going to talk about social media a bit more in just a sec, but even that, to an extent, can help boost that connection. Chat rooms, instant messaging, sharing content on Facebook, on social media, Maybe your gratitude. Maybe you share some of your gratitude on social media. Whether it's messaging a person to say, I'm so grateful for that time you helped me with this, or that we did this together. Or maybe your memories pop up. Maybe, oh yeah, that's that. Maybe it's that trip we went on a few years ago. Hey, there's the pictures from that place we saw. Remember how much fun that was? Maybe you reshare that and repost that. And the people who were with you or experienced that will be reminded of that as well. So then they get, again, that expression of gratitude towards you. And again, maybe just reach out to someone in a DM or in a post, a comment, and say, hey, how are you? How's it going? Let's chat soon. Maybe get out the old pen and paper and write them a letter. That'll really surprise them and make them feel really good. They get a handwritten note from you that says, hey, I've been thinking of you. Hope you're doing well. Let's catch up. Let's chat soon. Here's my number. Let's talk soon. Those connections need to be very sharp and very strong, because we've seen how quickly people will say, you can't be around people anymore. What? You can't be around people outside of your house anymore for the next X number of weeks, which turn into months, to turn into just years for some, for a lot. So we want to strengthen those and have those outlets and have those methods there to manage things as best we can. So strengthen those connections. So gratitude practice mentally or on paper, journaling. So things like gratitude, but also your just your daily thoughts, your mind going a mile a minute, that brain dump at the end of the day, just to help you get to sleep, to get some rest. And sharing connections, sharpening those connections. We need that connection, that outlet sometimes. Of just saying, hey, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Talk to you soon. It makes a big difference. I had a friend reach out the other day, send me a text and said, haven't talked to you in a while. How are you? Hope you're doing well. And it made the world difference. And I didn't even think I was having a really terrible day, but just to see that made me feel like 100 times better. So those little things can make a big difference for you. Sleep is another one. We want to get our sleep. Our sleep is a big component to our mental health. That's when the mind relaxes. That's when the mind unwinds. That's when the mind and the body repair themselves from the damage you did to them, the struggle you did to them during the day. That's when we are at our best. Our body is at rest. Our mind's at rest. We're not trying to digest food and make complete movements and thoughts and do different tasks. So that's really the only time the body has to rest. So if you're cutting short your sleep, that's going to affect your recovery time. That's going to affect your performance the next day. That's going to affect the ability to manage your mental health, because we need that rest. We need to come way down out of that red zone. That's going to definitely put us in the green, maybe even in neutral, to just let us relax and get in the coast. And then we can work through that system the next day. But if we're not getting sleep, we're probably going to start it in the yellow, if not maybe even in the red, if we start to dwell on the fact that we didn't get enough sleep. So if you're having trouble sleeping, again, try the brain dump. Look at your nighttime routine. Again, think back to when you were a kid. There's a routine to it, right? You have your dinner, maybe you have a little snack after, maybe you have a bath or shower, read some books, brush teeth, that sort of thing, whatever order it was, and then lights out, you go to sleep. There's that unwinding phase after you're done. We still need that. We get away from it because we're growing up, and we work until the last possible minute before we go to bed, or we work so hard that we think we need to watch some TV before bed, and that turns into 2 or 3 hours. And I'm there too. I struggle with this as well. I'm a night person, but I'm trying to be more consistent with the bedtime to get that sleep. And I find as I've been practicing that, I feel crummy the next couple of days, because my body's trying to catch up on what's called sleep debt. All those nights you don't get enough sleep, it adds up into your body. You can't make it up right away. We think we can do an all-nighter and then make up for it with a couple of days of extra sleep. It takes a lot of time. A couple of you mentioned, again, with the time change last week, and same thing for travel. It takes about 4 days to kind of acclimate yourself to 1 hour of time change. So it takes a long time for you to work over that time change. We just went through time going back an hour last week. We got an extra hour of sleep. Yes. But things are a little, hey, Achieve Fitness, things are a little different now. The timing's different. It gets dark sooner, so our bodies have to adjust to that, plus the time difference itself. So if you find you can't sleep, again, look at some of those strategies. The idea, at least for me, and my suggestion to you, is if you're not getting the 6 to 8 hours, whatever it is you kind of need, because we're all a little different, 8 is typically recommended for optimal recovery, but at least try to get a good quality of sleep. So I know some of you in here go to bed super early, but you're up through the night a few times. Or you go to bed late and get up early. There's a few different sleep schedules. Everyone kind of has their own based on what's going on, what's working, what you have to do. But again, if you're having trouble getting a full night's sleep, at least try to get good quality where you can. So look at ways to improve your sleep. Again, thinking of that brain dump, nighttime routine we talked about, even your morning routine, knowing in the morning you've got this routine to follow and having things prepared for the next morning, again, helps our mind recover, helps our mind release and relax so we can get to sleep. And again, looking at a cycle of sleep to get a REM cycle, so those deep kind of sleep and dreams, that rapid eye movement, it's about an hour and a half. So you want to look at timing your sleep as best you can to wake up at the end of a REM cycle. Sometimes if you get a good night's sleep or a long night's sleep, but wake up and still feel groggy, it could be you're trying to catch up to your sleep debt, which is what I think is happening with me. But it could be that you woke up in the middle of a REM, that alarm woke you up in the middle of one of those cycles, and you came from such a deep sleep that you still feel groggy and it takes you longer to kind of get going. So look at your sleep times, your bedtime and your awake time, and make sure you're at the end of a REM cycle. So 1.5 and 3 and 4.5, building your way up that way and see where you are. And then maybe you have to adjust your wake up time by half an hour or so to get at the end of one of those cycles, to try to, again, wake up with being a little more alert. So you want to look at, again, all these little things can add up to make a big difference. And again, if you get a good night's sleep, that mind's had a chance to recover and repair. If your mind's really going 100 miles an hour during the day because you're stressed or anxious or depressed or uncertain about things, it needs that time to recover. Just like your arms would if you're doing a heavy bicep workout, your biceps need time to recover, repair. Your mind needs that too. Try to give it that time as best you can. And again, if the 6 to 8 hours isn't there because of whatever you have going on, try to make the most of the time you are asleep. And then if you need to have a nap during the day or a rest, even just to rest and lie down and relax, that helps the body and mind relax and recover a little bit. So looking at some of these different strategies to help you manage that. Those are all very important to it. Achieve Fitness asks, do you meditate? Yes, I do. I'm working on making it more consistent. I've kind of gotten out of my consistency a little bit by trying to bring that back in, but I do enjoy meditating. There's lots of different apps and programs out there if you need them. I use one called Oak. It's a free one. It has 3 or 4 different meditations and nighttime sort of meditations at night, breath work as well in there that you can use. And it kind of gamifies it a bit where you can track how you're doing. So it keeps your streak of meditation going. It unlocks kind of different levels for you or status kind of things for you if you reach a certain level. So there's not a ton of variation to it, but there is some of that tracking for you that helps you go. And I really find when I'm consistent with it, it does help me. It helps me manage my emotions, my stress better. My mental health is a lot better with it because, again, it brings me down to that green zone. And then I go back up as I need to in that yellow. If I'm in a green zone and something happens and I react and I go up to the yellow zone, that's better than going into the red zone right away. I've still got some buffer there. I can still think clearer, make better decisions. So a meditation practice is definitely kind of the next suggestion for managing our mental health. Definitely a meditation practice. And again, find what works for you. I typically find morning meditations work great for me because it kind of starts the day off fresh for me. I get up, I spend about 10 minutes with a little guided meditation because I'm not there where I'm self-guiding my meditation yet. But I sit quietly, I put on my headphones typically if I can, and I play the app and I go through that meditation. And then I find I come at the day with a clearer perspective. And again, I'm in that green zone, so I've got tons of room to the red zone, so I don't overreact to things. I don't snap at things. I don't lose my patience quickly, because again, I'm at a calmer place. I'm at a more open place. I've given myself that extra break from stressing out about what's coming up during the day. So thank you for asking that, Chief Fitness. I do meditate. Do you meditate? And you guys in the chat as well. Does anyone? I know Kimmy mentioned she loves naps. Naps are great. I love naps. I wish I could take more. Sometimes it's good, that little 20-minute, 30-minute kind of cat nap. That quick nap gets things, again, recharged, gives your mind that break, gives you that time to re-energize and repair itself a little bit to, again, have the energy to go through the day. And the next, yes, Natty says meditation is amazing. Yes, we have some Savannah sightings, some mini mango sightings. Hello, everyone. So we have everyone saying hello. So we have different options to go through. As well, if it helps. Yeah. So Chief, and this is I try to, but I'm just a beginner. I use an app as well. It definitely helps for sure. I used a couple of years ago now. I was commuting by bus. Playing with your toys is a good way to help your mental health as well, right? You feel better, right? You have fun. Yeah. It helps you feel good as well. Playing with toys, right? Can't wait to get my He-Man toys for Christmas from Santa. When I was really consistent with the meditation, I use an app called Headspace, and they took you through kind of a 10-day meditation, and the meditations were kind of explaining meditation to you. And I thought that was really helpful, and I really enjoyed it. I just used the 10 days, and then there was a paid option after, and I just wasn't ready to sign up for that. And then I found Oak later that I could use. But I know Headspace now has things even on Netflix. They have a meditation sort of explanation or a little bit of a story in a meditation. There's stuff on YouTube as well. Even I find now my ads on social media, after a certain point, if I'm watching a clip on YouTube, it'll pop up a Headspace app, or Calm is another one that I haven't used myself, but I've heard good things about it. It's another one where they'll come up and say, "Are you having trouble sleeping? Let's stop scrolling for a minute and let me tell you a bit of a story." And they talk in that almost ASMR voice, that soft voice, and they kind of give you a bit of a meditation to promote themselves, because it's after 10 o'clock on a whatever weeknight or something. They're getting that clever with their advertising and that sort of thing. Yeah, Natty says Headspace is cool. Yeah, I like Headspace, and Calm she likes as well. I haven't used Calm yet. I haven't tried that one. Like I said, I get into Oak, and because it was free and it stays there. Again, it's repetitive. Headspace took you through different levels. Oak kind of just has a couple different things, but you can change the format, whether it's a meditation or breath work. I think there's a nighttime specific meditations as well that we can use. Yeah, exactly. Natty says there's lots of guided ones on YouTube as well. For sure, if you search up guided meditations, you can find them. I know Jack Canfield, if you know him, Chicken Soup for the Soul author, and The Secret, he has a couple of meditations online. Brendan Burchard, who we've referenced and talked about here, he calls it release technique meditation, where he'll take 5 minutes and he'll maybe put on some music or sit quietly, and he'll just repeat release, 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 release. And as he says release, that becomes that sort of mental focus, and you have, and that's your focus word, and it takes your mind there, and then things start to release from the body. That tension and stress and anxiety start to actually release through you. So there's tons of ways to meditate as well. There's not just one format. So again, that's where it's not a one size fits all approach. Like we talk about our fitness, something that works for you might not work for me, might not work for you. So you have to find what works for you. There's so many different formats of meditation and ways to do it. Some of it you sit, some you lie down, some of it you incorporate into your exercise. Some of it you do kind of on its own. But there's different ways to do that. And for me, again, it did make a big difference. And again, it's something I'm trying to get more consistent with again and bring back to my practice. And as far as your practice and your routine, again, it's whatever works best for you. Some high performers say you should get up in the morning and meditate for 10 minutes and exercise for 20 minutes, and then get your to-do list out and start planning and get work done. And then some other guys say, don't do any of that stuff in the morning. That's ridiculous. Get up and work for so many hours and then do your self-care later. So my advice to you is to find what works best for you. If you're a morning person and you feel you're most focused and most creative and inspired in the morning, then maybe that's the time you need to get up and just get into work. Don't check emails unless you need to for work. I mean, I'm going to suggest that, but get right into that work right away, and then do some self-care later in the day, workouts, meditation, that sort of thing. But if you find it's not your time, maybe the midday or afternoon is more your time, then maybe the morning is your time to journal and meditate and exercise and do the things you need to do. Maybe it needs to be midday where you do some of these things to manage to give yourself a break so you can finish the day off strong. Again, just like a workout. Maybe it's at the end of your day, so that starts your nighttime routine. I was doing a workout called Unwind a couple nights a week online, and the idea was to unwind from your day, to finish the workday off, put the day behind you, clear your head and mind so you could get a great night's sleep. That was sort of the idea. Was it was the start of your nighttime routine. So you could go after that, do your next day prep. We do some stretching. We did that gratitude practice at the end in our corpse pose, and then we'd go into that was the start of your nighttime routine where you could prep for the next day. So again, it really depends on you. Any of these factors that we're talking about really depend on you. And I want to go through just one more and then get to our kind of last little bit of topic, so I don't keep you guys too long. But the last one I have to kind of talk about is exercise. Exercise is a great way to manage your mental health. And there's two ways that I feel it does this. The first one is endorphins and things are released in your body when you do exercise that make you feel good. You hear that runner's high when runners run so far. Eventually they get to that spot where they get almost that endorphins take over, and you don't feel the pain or the stress of the exercise quite so much. You almost feel re-energized. Those are endorphins and hormones released in the body. That's the one way that it can help manage your mental health. Because again, those endorphins get released, you feel good, you feel better, and then it helps give you, again, that break from what's going on up here. The second way, and the way that I really am trying to really get out there to my clients, and as a fitness and wellness coach, I'm going to really advocate for my clients to be aware of, is the mental focus it takes to exercise. And I saw a great quote, a great post from one of my mentors and friends and coaches, Peter Twist, that I'm going to share out on social media tonight or tomorrow. But the idea is basically what I like to say as well, is when you're exercising, you need to think about what you're doing. Don't just go in and do the exercises. And that's what I found as a fitness instructor. A lot of participants would do. They would just come in and they would zone out because they knew, okay, Patrick's playing the class. He's going to tell us what to do. He's going to show us what we need to do. I'm just going to follow along and then not have to think for a few minutes. We don't want that. Yes, Natty. Natty says mindfulness. That's what we want, is mindfulness. You get a bonus point, Natty, for that one. And in caps too. Mindfulness. We want to be mentally aware, mindful of what we're doing. That's where the break in stress and anxiety come from. And you get that much more out of your workout, because as you're thinking about what you're doing, that creates mind-muscle connection. That creates movement patterns. That creates memory, where you can use that movement pattern or use the muscles when they need to do, when you need to do them. We talk about being operationally fit to fight the battles that life hands you. That's what part of that being, that mindfulness in a class, in a workout, translates so much into everyday life, that when I've had moments where I'm talking to someone here, a mug has fallen off a shelf here, and I reached out and caught it and kept the conversation going. I didn't have to go, oh no, a mug's falling out, and try to catch it and come back in. I reacted because I do multi-joint things and mind-muscle connection. I think about the movements I'm doing and the muscles I'm trying to activate as I'm doing them. And yes, Natty says that stops the mind from going nuts. It does. Again, just like we talked about the meditation and the journal and the gratitude practice, if nothing else, it gives you that break for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever your workout is. It gives you that break from all that stuff going on over here, because we shut off the outside world and we go internal and be mindful and focus on ourselves. Okay, I'm trying to use my bicep to curl this cable in, and then use the bicep to lower it with control. Even here with no weight. You can't see it on Instagram great, but you'll see it on the replay. Even with no weight, thinking of the muscle I'm trying to use, I can feel that muscle activated even on the way down, when I could use my tricep to extend my arm. But I can think and imagine and visualize a bit of a resistance here and get that muscle fired up and feel that. So it just strengthens that mind-muscle connection, that body awareness that we need to have. I remember taking a weightlifting course. Quick story, then I'll wrap up for you guys. These are supposed to be 30 minutes, but we're having so much fun. I was doing a weightlifting course, powerlifting course that was coming out to maybe be certified to do some training at the base for some people that were getting into CrossFit and that sort of thing. And I was taking the course with people who played high-level sports and were doing some of these lifts. And I didn't do a ton of them. I'm the proponent of you have to be good at it to do it and to be effective with it. And I just hadn't practiced it enough and incorporated enough. And again, it wasn't quite in line with what I was doing for my training. But I was taking the course to have the knowledge to be able to help clients and members. And I was trying to do like a clean, bring it up to here sort of thing. And I did a couple, and the other people did it, and their form was a little bit better than mine, but the coach was giving us feedback and suggestions. And he gave them a couple, and they had to do it again and again to kind of get it. And I did mine. He just said, try to do more like this and use this muscle and keep your body this way. And I went, oh, okay. And I tried it, and I nailed it for that one rep. And that's not to say I would have kept the skill, but I had the body awareness because of my type of training I do, and I incorporate Pilates and yoga and that mind-body connection sharp there. And I do athletic-based multi-joint training. My body awareness was very high, so I could replicate what he said and how he wanted me to move my body very quickly. Whereas those that, even though they were athletes at high levels, maybe didn't train the same way I did, it took them a little longer to get that there because their body awareness just wasn't quite in tune. It was still high, but not quite in tune as to where mine happened to be. And it just worked out that day. And I noticed it playing basketball and things. I play rec basketball once a week with some friends, and I can notice when my workouts are being consistent and I'm doing well. I'm not super skilled at basketball, but I like it, and I can find I can react better to the game when I'm more consistent because, again, I train that way mentally, that mind-body connection. I can react to the game better when someone tries to swipe at a ball or the ball bounces off the rim a different way than I think. I notice those things because, again, it's what I do. It's fitness. I enjoy it, but I train that way too to be prepared for it. And like we said, now it does help the mind from going nuts. So endorphins released, I'm sure Achieve Fitness would chip in here as well. That endorphin rush, those hormones that are released, those do help you. There's a few that are released that do help you feel good and de-stress as well from exercising. But I really want you to think of mindfulness, like Natty said. Switching internal, even if you're out for a walk, how does the body feel? Am I swinging my arms? Am I extending my arms back as I walk so I can swing them forward? Am I running? Am I driving my elbows back to drive them forward? And instead of just kind of jogging here. Am I tall? How's my posture? How's my breathing? If I'm bench pressing, am I using my chest and triceps to push and to lower the weight back down? Think about the muscles you're trying to do and the movements you're trying to perform, and try to make them over time a little more complex, multi-joint movements. So multiple body parts are moving at once. And if you need help with that, again, this not to toot my own horn, but here's the coach to come see, because this is what I like to do. I like to replicate daily life as much as I can so you're prepared for it, you're operationally fit. So exercise is a huge component. Unfortunately, it's usually one of the first things to go because we're stressed, we're tired, we're tight. It's usually the first thing to go. But we want to keep it there because it is so important to manage. It's ideal to keep it going and have a routine so that hopefully before we get to that tough place, we've got systems in place already. We know we can manage even that a little better. But when we get to those harder places where, again, our mental health isn't quite there, we need to keep that physical fitness, even if it's just activity, again, going for walks, doing some gardening, some things around the house. Those all count. It doesn't have to be exercise. Exercise is great, but physical activity counts too. So don't feel it has to be a 1.5 hour sweat session doing multi-joint movements. Sometimes a walk around the block, raking some leaves. There's lots of those out there right now. Things like that can all count and add up too. And then you're raking leaves, you're physical active, you're getting fresh air, and maybe you're getting something done on your to-do list. Check, check, check. The mind's going to go, I can breathe a little bit now. I don't have so much to figure out. Nutrition also plays a key point. I want to make sure I mention that before I get on to my next point. Again, thanks all for sticking around. I know there's a couple of you that had to pop out, but I appreciate you being here for this extended version tonight of PatFacts. But nutrition plays a key role. Again, we talk kind of 80-20, trying to eat as good as we can 80% of the time, and then we can enjoy ourselves here and there when it permits, or maybe when we have to. We can't make the best choice. It's okay, because we do that the majority of the time. We make the best choice possible. So it gives us that, again, that buffer zone that we can have a little treat now and then, or for somewhere where they don't have good options, we don't have to feel guilty about it, because we know most of the time we're doing pretty well. And I don't mean to skim on nutrition and make it less important. I'm going to be adding more nutrition backing to me to give more knowledge to you guys, but I do want to mention it. But again, I want to be respectful of your time. To kind of wrap up, and we'll look at, actually, let's look at your comments quick here now, because I know Bonnie mentioned something here. So just going back to our gratitude and positivity challenge, Bonnie mentioned, I posted on Facebook positive thoughts that help me plus other people enjoy them as well. Definitely. I've seen those posts and the people that comment on them and like and interact with them. Hey, Will and Chan, you can see the people that are responding to them and feel good for them and reading them. And that's great. It's a great way to do it. Those positive thoughts I share in my stories on my Instagram and my Facebook page, usually things from Brendan Burchard or Peter Twist or Todd Durkin, Jack Canfield sometimes, John Gordon, a few different high performers, some of their positive thoughts, positive messages, positive quotes to help us, again, stay on track. Sometimes those good reminders can just help us feel good. And again, that little break for a second, if nothing else, that break can give us the recharge we need and the respark. And again, maybe it keeps us in that positive mindset so we can stay there a little longer and maybe impact our day and those around us a little bit more. Kimmy's writing a letter to Natty already. Yeah, naps. Meditation is amazing. We talked about that. Yeah. So you can see, I went to say, Kimmy, yeah, I want to mention this. Back to meditation. Kimmy said Smiling Mind is a great wellness app, and it's free. Great app for anxiety, she says, and she uses it quite a bit. So put it back up there. Smiling Mind. I haven't tried that one, Kimmy. Thanks for sharing that. We'll share that with everybody, and I'll have to take a look at that one. Smiling Mind. So you can free app you can look at as well. Again, I mentioned Oak is a meditation app I use. Even fitness trackers like Fitness Pal from Under Armour, Track My Run, those types of things. There's usually a bit of a journal component as well, where you can look up and keep track of some of those kind of other health related things you're using before. Yeah, Kimmy says it's great. Thanks, Kimmy, for sharing that one with us. We'll definitely check that one out. So there's our comments. Again, those that joined in late, welcome. First of all, we did a bit of a gratitude challenge from Thanksgiving till about today. We'll keep it going. Please keep it going. Don't just stop it. But the idea was to spend 5 minutes or so each day acknowledging what you were grateful for. Just 3 things. 3 things you're most grateful for. Ideally, we write them down if you can, and then maybe think about why you're grateful for them. So if you've been doing that with us, feel free to comment in the chats here how you felt. How did it go? Was it difficult? Was it easy to incorporate? Did you notice how you felt doing it? Did you not stick with it? Was it too hard? Was it tricky? Let us know in the chat again, so we can share our experiences with each other and again, make each other better and give each other ideas, or maybe help each other out like we have here in the comments. I want to wrap up. And again, I don't want to rush through this, but I want to be respectful of your time, but we are approaching the hour here. So I may get booted off some things soon. Instagram, I do post the replay from Facebook to Instagram after, so I get cut off. We'll post that there for you to check out as well. But I want you to be aware of things that feel like they're helping your mental health, but are probably not, and or maybe making it worse. Be aware of them. Think about the things you have going on. And the big one I want to touch on, not to pick on it because we're here, maybe we'll get shut down, but is social media. Social media does a great job of making us feel good temporarily. There's people that work at these platforms that look at the ways to keep you on their app because they have advertisers and they have commercials and things they want you to see and interact with, and that's how they make their money. They don't want you to go to this platform or take a break. That's why you see everybody interact or borrow everyone else's ideas. TikTok became popular. IG has Reels. Facebook has stories and IG has stories. Right? Twitter is adding stories. YouTube now has shorts. That's their version of a Reel or a TikTok. Everyone wants you to stay on their platform, so they're trying to make it as beneficial as they can to you, so you spend more time there. They know people are get the little endorphin rush from seeing, I see 2 thumbs to my video so far, 2 thumbs up on Facebook for my video. That makes me feel good. Oh, people like my video. They're watching, they're commenting. You see hearts and things on Instagram. That makes you feel good. You see likes on your videos and comments at your posts. That makes you feel good. That makes you want to come back because it's dopamine that's released from your brain, makes you feel good, helps you relax a little bit. So they want you to come back and do more. Twitch has been a big platform for us, a bunch of us here in the chat. Some of you are tuning in through Twitch, which I appreciate. I'm trying to build a bit of a platform for some Twitch viewers here so I can reach different demographics. Twitch has been great as a way to connect and meet people and make friends, but it's getting to that sort of happy place where maybe it gets a bit of a problem for some people because they tune in to hear their name. I try to give you guys a shout out when I see your names because I want you to be part of the community and to feel welcome. But for some people, that fact that famous DJ or that famous singer or that comedian or that author is saying my name when I tune in, or they're responding to my comment, again, brain goes poof, dopamine, and we go, that feels so nice. I want that again and again and again and again. And soon you'll notice that, oh, I logged on to this video and he didn't say my name, or she didn't say my name. I wonder why. Or you feel yourself wanting to go on because you want that validation. You want that quick hit of that, yes, things are great. And that's when we can get into the hours and hours of and again, I'm using social media as the big example because I'm so involved with it, but there are other things out there as well. It almost becomes an addiction or a crutch because we get that dopamine hit. We can shut off the outside world and watch cat videos or DJ streams or read funny memes or watch clips, whatever, on social media. So what I'd like you to do in closing here is to be really aware of your environment. Again, our friend Todd Durkin says, get your mind right, but he says it's called a social media feed for a reason because they're feeding you the information. So he likes to say, always be aware of what you're feeding yourself, both in food, but also in content. What are you taking in? What's in your social media feed? Are you tuning into certain things for a little bit of a pick-me-up because someone's going to acknowledge you or someone's going to mention you? Are you getting kind of dependent on that? We don't want that. We want to be able to be entertained and have fun, but we shouldn't feel pressured to sort of take part in things, and we shouldn't feel too much FOMO, fear of missing out, FOMO, because we're not there, but it happens. And the people on Twitch are trying to make their money, just like on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, any platform. There's money to be made for people who have big accounts and followers. There's different ways to make their money. The platforms make theirs, but the streamers too. Some streamers are trying to make that money while they're there. So they want you there. They want you to stay and maybe spend the money on them and share to your friends that you're there so your friends come in too. So we want to just be aware of what's going on around us and the environments we're in, whether it's social media, whether it's with people in general in the real world. Be careful what you're feeding yourself and where you're at and where you're interacting with. Be mindful. Don't get sucked in and trapped to it. Because again, there's people that are working for these companies that are trying to make you stay there so that they get their money. There's scientists powering some of these things behind them. So stay strong and just be aware. PatFacts 1 back in March 2020, I said, be alert, be aware, but don't dwell on things. Be alert and be aware of how you're spending your time and the environments you're in and how engaged you feel you have to be. You don't have to be engaged at all. You can just take it in and watch. You don't have to watch. You can tune out. Okay, just be aware. We always want to be aware of our surroundings. We want to be mindful, coming back to our example earlier, of what we're involved with, what we're taking in, and what we're being fed. Again, nutritionally, but also within social media, within our circle of friends, any kind of content we're taking in, radio, TV, print. Again, be careful what you're taking in, because it all has effect on your mental health, and that affects our health as a whole. And with that, folks, I want to wrap up. Again, I want to give you your night back. I know we're losing the few here because of our time, but thanks for spending the past almost hour with me, coming up on an hour now. Our extended version. Maybe I'll cut this one in half for a podcast, but I really appreciate you being here. I wanted to cover some of those points, and I want you to have the tools to manage that mental health, because again, it is Men's Mental Health Month. There's Movember programs and things going on that bring awareness to that, and those are great. But again, I want to talk as mental health as a whole, and just be mindful, male or female, we all deal with these issues. We all have outlets to use the outlets. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel embarrassed. If it's a friend, a coach, a therapist, a loved one, maybe it's just a stranger where sometimes you can just extend a PatMix. I like that. Chris came in. I like it. Extend a PatMix. Extend a PatFacts. There's people who are just going to sometimes catch your ear, and they're going to give you what they've got going on in their mind, or you're going to give them their mind. Hey, Robin, what's going on? And you may never see them again, but that's your outlet. And I'll finish with this one last story, and then we'll sign off. You may have heard it before, but in Kandahar, when I was working, I was filling in for our equipment coordinator. He was on his vacation. I was filling in his position. His office was in a sea container in the sea container land where we stored all of our stuff. And the job was to take equipment to different places on the base so that people could have some entertainment or some activities, things to do, supplies. Crushed stone was everywhere because we're in the desert. Sandstorms can happen. So to limit that, they put crushed stone everywhere. I heard steps in the crushed stone. The door was to my right. I tried to time it right. So I was at my desk. As that person walked by, I turned and I said, "Good morning." And the person stopped, and he spun in to look at my door. And he proceeded to take about a minute, maybe two, to say how disgruntled he was about being there. He was too old. He shouldn't be here. The younger generation should be doing this. The younger troops. It was BS that he was there, and F this, and la, 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 la. And then he turned back and he walked away. And I never saw that person ever again that I know of. I was in the right place at the right time, and it probably helped that I wasn't in a military uniform. He knew he could safely vent and not have repercussions, but he needed that. I was his outlet for the day. So you never know when a stranger you deal with, someone you interact with during the day. Someone mentioned here, a smile goes a long way. Smiling, be kind, we always talk about, can make a big difference in someone's day. So again, with that, thanks so much for being here, everyone. If you just tuned in, again, the replays will be posted whatever platform you're watching, so you can check out those replays. Again, think of gratitude. Look back on the ways to manage your mental health, because it is a component of our overall health and wellness. It helps our physical health, helps our spiritual health. All those systems work together. So work on managing that mental health. If you need help, again, reach out. If you need to reach out to someone, feel free to contact me, and I'll give you any assistance I can. Have a great night, everyone. Remember, always make yourself the priority you deserve to be by striving to be operationally fit. Stay safe, take care, and have a great night.